Hi, my name is Roger, and in this video, I would like to introduce you to an absurd invention of mine, which is a bubble machine that can truly dial it up to 11 to put your underwear at risk in a unique and unforgettable new way. That said, let's begin light with a few fire bubbles.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I've just used a flint striker to ignite bubbles of a welding gas called acetylene, and while that's a fun way to make hot puffs of soot, the bubble dragon is meant to go boom! However, before we get to that, let's go over how it works and what it can do. On the manual control side, buttons release either air, acetylene, or oxygen to mix in a balloon. Alternatively, a knob can be used to dip the wand into solution. After wetting the wand, pressing the vent button blows bubbles. Fans help distance these from the machine. A switch enables automatic operation, which is controlled from the other side. The fill slider sets the total time to spend filling the balloon with gases, whereas the vent slider determines how long to blow bubbles for. The top three sliders tell the machine how to divide the fill time among the three fill gases. If you look at the little text screen, you can see how fully each gas is enabled as a percent, as well as the resultant fill time in parentheses. A single red button starts or ends the bubble making. Light strips show the progress of each step with blue for air, red for acetylene, green for oxygen, and yellow for dipping the wand. You see, the thing is that when you hold a pistol striker and look the bubble dragon in its eyes, you'd best be in the mood for the adrenaline of a survivable twist on a Wild West shootout, with all of the bang and even a bit of impact force. To help keep your underwear clean, the front letters ramp up in brightness to show just when a bubble is coming your way. Additionally, colored rings show what the machine is doing, again with blue for air, red for fuel, green for oxygen, and yellow for dipping. All of the bubbles shown earlier were using either pure acetylene or a mixture of acetylene and air. Now, let's see what happens when we add oxygen. Thankfully, that wasn't it. The bubble dragon was painstakingly designed to safely cast oxygenated fuel bubbles, but the risks of a poorly made machine are very real, as could be the consequences of misuse. Before we go any further, let's take a moment to appreciate the chemistry of combining oxygen and acetylene, which make the hottest burning common gas mixture. Acetylene is C2H2, and for every 2 parts of it, its complete combustion requires 5 parts of oxygen. Add fire, and the acetylene and oxygen react to make carbon dioxide, water vapor, and a tremendous amount of energy. With detonation velocities approaching 2 miles per second, the impulse sound generated from even a small detonation of this sort has the potential to damage hearing. Knowing this, I targeted a bubble size approximating a grapefruit, seeking about 1/4 of the boom of a regular balloonful. According to my napkin math, a liter of stoichiometrically mixed oxygen and acetylene has roughly 15 kilojoules of energy to release, about the same as a cherry bomb. Which brings us to Legality. The machine itself is a fanciful, artisanal torch handle with nothing to significantly differentiate it from mainstream welding gear, which is also capable of making big booms with balloons. Where things get thornier is in respect to noise disturbance laws, which vary by jurisdiction but often place limits on willfully making dangerous sounds or using sound to disturb others. Which brings us to danger. I'd hoped to build a machine incapable of long-term damage to hearing when used in an open environment, but my one and only detonation of a well-oxygenated bubble was inconclusive. That time, it didn't go up in a poof. Instead, there was a nearly instant, inward white flash that seemed to rip a tear in reality to unleash the most intense blast I'd ever experienced. It literally cleared the dust from the ground nearby. It also punched something like a very weak airbag, and it was awesome, just epic. It's the kind of thing that's hard to believe that you just survived. Unfortunately, the bubble I lit was near enough to my fence that the reflected sound wave overwhelmed my ear on that side. Whereas my left ear was normal within a minute, it took over 2 months for my right ear to recover. I've since invested in the correct protective equipment for this kind of sound, which is earplugs topped with active earmuffs. This is a glorious combination because your hearing is doubly protected, yet you can still hear important sounds like alarms and even speech. Leather gloves are also important, as are sunglasses to protect from the light flash, as well as the theoretical potential for heated airborne snot from the bubble itself. The experience is highly dependent on sound level and can be described by 3 brackets. Up to 75 decibels is neighborhood appropriate, generally amusing, and safe for ears. Depending on gas mixture, the sound can be a poof, crack, or moderate bang. Between 75 and 130 decibels is uninteresting to me because the requisite hearing protection makes it unimpressive for the bubble popper. Further, while the explosion is somewhat thrilling, its sound is rather disconcerting to anyone in range. This is the kind of destructive sounding boom that you might hear in the climax of a James Bond movie, and it's decidedly out of place in a neighborhood. Where things get more interesting is beyond 130 decibels, as it becomes a somewhat otherworldly experience from the terrifying sensation of the bubble blast. Anyone nearby is treated to the highly concerning sound of an apocalyptical explosion. Okay, you've earned a demonstration of a lightly oxygenated bubble. I targeted 75 decibels to be a good neighbor and to not upset my pets. With the gas pressures of the day, that happened to be consistently achievable with temporally equal contributions of air, acetylene, and oxygen. So, let's go. How about first-person view? And that concludes our residential testing. You see, it shouldn't have been that loud. But after years of light use, my acetylene cylinder had grown so depleted that it began putting out substantially less gas with each successive balloon fill, causing the portion of oxygen to creep up. This was actually somewhat of a milestone, because one of my original motivations was to use up my welding gas in an interesting way, and I still have an additional cylinder to go. Regardless, I'm glad to have caught this one on video to the extent that I could with my cell phone. With a near equal mix of acetylene and oxygen, the flame is so quick that it's not always captured well in a frame of footage, and that only gets worse as the oxygen is increased to the optimal 5:2 ratio. Worse yet, my phone's microphone captured a mere poof, but this was actually a deep and satisfying boom. It was enough bang to frighten my pets, who let me know that it was time to stop. And stopped I will remain until I attain access to an appropriate testing facility where I can dial things up without being a menace to my neighbors or accidentally harming wildlife. If any of you have access to an appropriate venue for testing in or near Silicon Valley, or experience with recording impulse noise or high-speed video, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If any of you are tempted to build something like this yourselves, the first thing to know is that its design alone took many weeks and was a painful exercise in identifying and addressing all the things that could go wrong, and there are a lot. The next thing to know is that safe materials and components for working with pure oxygen are challenging to combine and costly to obtain. Be prepared to spend thousands, especially if you want to work out all of the kinks or otherwise iterate on your design. The last thing to know is that if you do succeed in safely generating oxyacetylene bubbles, they're no joke to light. Even with doubled up hearing protection, gloves, and sunglasses, There is a definite risk of getting burned from aiming poorly with the striker pistol, so detonating bubbles is best left to responsible adults wearing cotton clothing with first aid nearby. In the beginning, I teased that the Bubble Dragon can dial it up to 11, and while I stand by that, until I find a suitable testing site and a better way to record it, the best I can do is show you what makes it tick. The belly of the beast is open in the back for circulation, and its body is made of aluminum composite material. Automatic operation is controlled by a tiny BBC micropit with additional devices attached via I2C to have enough inputs and outputs. MOSFETs are used to dim the front letters, and relays switch the solenoid valves to control the gases. An undervolted air compressor provides a noisy but effective way to dilute explosive gases. A servo controller operates the wand in manual mode. And finally, an 18-volt tool battery goes for an hour or two of runtime. The longest claws measure 3 centimeters, but on a more serious note, it's probably worth mentioning that for safety, all motors are brushless to avoid sparks. Additionally, mixed gas is only ever stored in a balloon, which is positioned for survivability of both people and machine should it somehow ignite. Last but not least, I would like to thank both Mark Rober and Adam Savage for showing how to fuse art, technology, and fun. I'll be reaching out to both and hope at least one will be interested in my, I probably shouldn't call it a toy. Anyways, I'll let you know how that goes in the comments. Well, that's it for now out of consideration for my pets, if not my neighbors and family. This was my first attempt at a video, but not my first strange invention. If you enjoyed it, please let me know to make more by liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, etc. Credits to Introducing the Bubble Dragon, starring Roger Mustasich, Human, Sunnybird, Sun Conyer, and Moonadogis, Pointer. Copyright 2026, excluding free visuals and music from Pixabay. If you'd like to get in touch, you can contact me by email at roger@mustacich.com. Thanks for watching.